Hey, hello and welcome everyone. I left my water in the kitchen. Be right back. I was like, I have to run. I won't make it. Okay, wait. Oh, now it's spilled water. Hello, hack.
We are so back.
We are so back indeed. Thank you so much for the prime. Welcome, welcome. Why is the chat not showing up? It's always something. It's always something. Why are you not showing up for? Vad fan? Nej, Widdy. Holy shit, thank you, Hack, for the 300 bits. Let's spend it all at once. I promise I will invest it. Now the chat works. Yay! Dude, you made the chat go back. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Finally warning everyone. Hello, Wayne. Yeah, so as you may have noticed, the stream title is indeed A Soldier's Life. Is that, hey, Willie? Willie wants to say hi to the camera. There she is. Hello. And as you can see on screen, there is also a soldier's life right here. So it has been a while. I don't even remember when I read it last. What prompted the return? Just my mind, vibes. Just that I was like, you know, I can read a soldier's life again. I'm I'm excited about it again, you know? That's literally all it was. It was spontaneously, I did not plan anything. It was just like, I'm gonna stream now. What do I stream? I was like, should I just read a soldier's life? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I will. But it's not a huge but. I feel spontaneously that I want to read now and then maybe do some shiny hunting. Great! Which reminds me that I have to charge my switcheroo, which I will do right now. Makiek is first! Congrats! Welcome! And then I will say the bot. I will put in the charging fee first. Ah! I've changed the TV's position so much when it's been the World Cup. I shall observe the vodka. Enjoy the vodka. Since you have to work in the morning. You know what? I'll fix that later. I'll fix that afterwards. It's just nay, we do. Hey, we do. I'll fix that afterwards. Okay. So, fuck. Now there's a lot of fucking cables. So, oh my god, this was not prompted or anything. It was just literally like I feel like it. So fuck it. Oh damn, very important. Okay, is it also vodka? That seems to be the trend. Cocaine is mine. So I know I used to read 5 chapters, but now I'm gonna be a little strained. I'll put some reins on myself, right? And break. Um I will start off reading again here and there probably. I will not promise this will be every day or all the time. But at least at the start, and then we will see, right? Because 5 chapters takes a long ass time. And then I feel like I can only read that I don't have time to do anything else, like shiny hunt or play any games or whatever. Because then it's like, now I read, and then the stream is over because my voice is destroyed. That's usually how it goes. So I was thinking that instead of 5 chapters, I will read 2 chapters. So I was like, 2 chapters is better than no chapters. So we will just start with 2 chapters and see how that feels, if that fits me better. And I will still upload them, you know, on YouTube and stuff. So you can watch it later. And then I feel like I can take maybe a little bit more time, you know, discussing something. Don't feel pressed for time. Stuff like that. A little bit more lenient. Is that even the word? You'll understand what I mean. 2 chapters is what's gonna be read. And that's fucking it, okay? So, today I'm planning on reading 2 chapters of A Soldier's Life. And then we will do some shiny hunting. And that's gonna have to be good enough. And then we'll see how that progresses in the future. Let me drink. By the way, crazy World Cup yesterday. Damn. Dude, first off, that should have been 2 goals from Spain. Second off, when he pushed, was it Cucurella? That's a card. I was gonna say Australians. The Argentinians. Say it, the Argentinians. So many more cards during this tournament. My god. Anyway, over and out. World Cup review. Need to open my notes. There. Last time on A Soldier's Life. That's right. We're back. But I don't remember anything of where we left off. Eric is off doing his own thing at the academy or whatever the fuck, and he's teaching Reina and the other child, and he's like cooking for them and stuff. But now they went out to this thing in the when they're like camping and they have to kill something, and it's like in teams, and it's some type of grade stuff that they need in school. And Eric is now following along with them, and there are other people, and they can kill each other or whatever. But now I think we ended off with a Mavius chapter. So now we're with the other people again, but I assume we're going back to Eric now. That I was just like a one-off, like, the other guys are alive, the type of thing. They're still going, but fuck them. Let's go back to Eric. That's what I think that we're doing right now. So that's what I'm going with. So we're back. 2 chapters. Let's go. With chapter 201. Surprise, bitch! We are so back. I walked at the rear of our group, keeping Rena in sight. So we are back with Eric. She walked 10 yards behind Mage Cassius and the other mages. I remember that Mage Cassius was a dick. Her ostracization from the group wasn't surprising. Even from 30 yards back, it was clear that Cassius had plans to humiliate Rena today, evident from the constant whisperings of the lead group. After a mile, I frowned as the mages deviated from the clear path ahead, which was clear to me, and instead followed what was clearly a path made by water runoff. It wasn't long before the group stopped at a shallow gully, confused. Gully? Gully? Gully. Mage Cassius had out the map he had been given and was trying to orient himself. He was evidently untrained, as he would need to gain elevation above the tree line to make out any landmarks. I took the opportunity to walk a short distance, kneel, and send out an earth pulse. It was still disorienting with the amount of feedback. I found that trees appeared blurry, and water gave almost no image from the pulse. Only earth and rock were clear. Creatures appeared blurry, but their shapes were defined. I stood and urinated on the tree. So I pissed on the tree to explain my short walk. Okay, sure. Whatever you say. When I returned, the old mage instructor took the opportunity to sit on a log. She sighed heavily as she rested. My fellow legionnaires spread into the woods, forming a makeshift wall. I leaned against a nearby tree, watching Rena, who remained apart from the group. If Cassius had planned something last night and was frustrated, he would likely try something today. The frail-looking mage started chewing on something that smelled like tobacco. Think they will ask Mage Rena to fly up and get oriented? The old mage said, spitting a gross mass of brown saliva. The old woman on the rock shook her head. Doubtful. My guess is they will backtrack and try to find the trail again. The legionnaire assigned to Cassius started tapping his shield against a tree. It took the mage a good minute to look back at us. When he did, the legionnaire pretended to stretch and pointed back the way they had come. The obvious assistance was met with a chuckle from the frail mage. Oh my god. That was how the morning went, with Cassius's legionnaire clearly assisting the incompetent mage when he got flummoxed. Never heard that word, what? It took over 5 hours for the arrogant and overconfident mage Cassius to find the first marker, and midday was almost here. The marker was a red sash tied around a tree in a small clearing. There was no way they would find the other 2 markers and get back to camp before dark. The old mage sensed this and was growing agitated, but made no move to intervene in the test. The frail man scoffed as the young mages took out their lunches to celebrate claiming the first marker. I'm not spending the night in the woods, Sylvia. If Mage Cassius can't get them headed in the correct direction in the next 2 hours, I will force them to return to the tower, success or not. Piter, Mage Cassius is a first citizen. He is spiteful too, and will make your life miserable if you interfere with his leadership test, Sylvia retorted. The frail mage, who I now knew was named Piter, groaned. He looked at the legionnaires, an idea forming in his mind as his eyes brightened. Cassius's legionnaire had given him hints all morning from a distance, and Piter turned to him. I sense danger in the area. Protocol is you all need to be within 10 feet of your charges. It was a clear attempt to expedite the assistance the legionnaire was giving first citizen Cassius. A few legionnaires didn't see through the facade and tensed, drawing their weapons at the mage's warning. The old woman groaned. Put away your weapons. He wants you closer to guide the mages so we don't end up walking in the dark. She eyed the legionnaire. Mage Piter and I will remain further back. Cassius's legionnaire nodded like a good, obedient dog, sheathed his blade, and stepped forward with another legionnaire, who I recalled was tied to Ona. This allowed me to walk up to Rena, who was chewing on some bread and greasy sausage on a rock about 20 feet from her mage companions. I produced a hot burrito and handed it to her. My inventory had dozens of burritos, but one of these large burritos was enough to satisfy me for 2 days. The legionnaires are going to stay close to mages to speed things up. I don't think your fearless leader has ever been out of a city. The burrito was also fragrant, and I admit my generosity had secondary goals. The aroma and noisy eating of Rena soon attracted the envious stares of the mages and legionnaires nearby. Rena, obviously famished from the long walk, nearly 10 miles by my estimation, accepted a canteen of lemon water I handed her. With a full mouth, she said, Be careful what you say. Mage Avaro has a spell with which one can eavesdrop from over 100 yards away. The 5 legionnaires had surrounded the 5 mages defensively. As everyone ate a dry lunch, repeated glances drifted our way. What else can those mages do? I asked. Rena made to finish the burrito before answering. I found her lack of decorum cute. Rena stared at the group. We are the strongest collection of mages among those who have recently cast their first true spell. She paused as she diverted her eyes. Mage Cassius is a decent water mage. Her tone was laced with scorn, though. He can condense water and turn it into ice, encasing a foe or covering a floor. I know he also has the abyssal affinity, but I do not know if he has learned a spell from form for it yet. I nodded, knowing that could be a problem if I had to fight him. The celestial and abyssal affinities were poorly named. Blessings and curses would have been a more apt name, as celestial magic enhanced a person or object, while abyssal magic hindered or cursed a person or object. I studied Mage Cassius from a distance as he talked to his sister. His sister is kind of pretty. Mage Ona looked nothing like her brother. She was graceful, young, and tall for Italian, maybe 5'9", but hadn't filled out yet, being just 16 or 17. What, she doesn't have any boobs? Oh, so too bad for you. She's 16. But anyway. Hello, Cairo. Yes, finally, we're reading some shadow. Fuck. Freudian slip right there. We're reading some Soldier's Life. Welcome, welcome. She had striking grey-blue eyes that I would describe as stormy. Her silky black hair was pulled back into a ponytail. My line of sight drifted to Renna, who wore a cloudy and angry face. I mean, she looks attractive in a malevolent, villainess kind of way. I corrected myself. Okay. My reevaluation did not appease Renna, who continued tersely. Tersely? Ona also has a strong water affinity. She has been practicing freezing creatures from the inside out. I have seen her do it with mice. A little more hotly, she added. She also has affinities for healing and charm, but she was not raised a first citizen like her brother. I looked again but felt no magic influence from the young mage. Our eyes met and she wore a devilish smirk, clearly accustomed to men checking her out. Now I could feel something tickling my other core in my mind. I broke eye contact, ending whatever she had been attempting to do. Are you okay? Has affinities for both air and illusion. He is one of Cassius's loyal minions, torturing other students with illusionary spiders and disgusting traps in the dorms. I realized I had missed a few seconds of time while Ona tried to use her magic on me. Ona was as dangerous as she was beautiful. And yes, she was beautiful, even though I sensed a predatory nature in her. Mage Cassius had seen our interaction and had put his arm protectively around his twin sister. No, it was possessively around her. Cassius's angry glare focused on me, and I just smiled before returning my attention to Renna. I know Mage Elsa has a rare affinity for time, but it is not strong. I don't even know what her spell form for time is. She can also cast small lightning arrows because she also has an affinity for lightning. Elsa had a pock-marked face and was extremely pale, like she rarely ventured into the sun. What the fuck is pock-marked? Like she has like, what is it called? Freckles? What chapter are you on? This is chapter 201, book 4. What about the last boy? I indicated the last mage, who I think was Cyrano from memory. Boy was 2 weak a term as he appeared older than me with a full red beard and had a fit muscled body underneath his robes. Mage Cyrano is a commoner from the army. He manifested a spell form that transferred attacks back at the assailant. Ooh. It even works for some magical attacks. The only true spell that I know he can cast is Light. The simplest spell form there is, Renna explained while not looking at the group. I thought you said he didn't target you at the college. I glanced at the disinterested Cyrano. He has never participated in the harassment, but he's not stupid. Cassius is a first citizen. If Cyrano cannot learn more spells beyond Light, he will be trained as a hound. That was a surprise. Maybe we would be training together. Finally, Mage Cassius had savored his victory in claiming the flag long enough. He stood and scanned the edge of the clearing, deciding what direction to travel next. His legionnaire took a slight step in a direction, and then Cassius pointed in roughly the same direction, announcing, "Legionnaire Virgo, clear the brush ahead of us as we walk that way." Renna snickered next to me as all the bushes and branches could easily be walked around. The legionnaire tapped his chest and extended his arm in salute and respect. He drew his sword and moved to lead the group. I looked back at the 2 mage instructors, who looked extremely relieved. It still took our group 3 hours to reach the second marker. It was the same as the first, a bright red scarf tied around a tree. Mage Cassius trotted out first, his chest out like he had just led the group to the promised land. Untying the scarf, the rest of the group moved in closer. Ona advised her brother, "There are only, at most, 3 hours of daylight remaining. You should send Rena ahead to retrieve the last marker while we wait here." "How will that be any faster?" Rena demanded. "You can fly, can't you?" Cassius said while grinning. "Not for 5 miles there and back," Rena argued angrily. Cassius shook his head, disappointed. "I am in charge, and this is the fastest way we can complete the task." Rena was biting back anger. Everyone knew if he hadn't waddled to find the first flag, we would all be heading back by now with all 3 markers. I turned to look at Mage Piter and Mage Sylvia. Mage Sylvia was grinding her teeth. "Mage Cassius, you are responsible for the safety of everyone in your group. Separating someone from your group will put them in danger this deep into the woods." "She has the personal Legionnaire Sentinel of the Chancellor. I am sure he can protect her. If we all traveled to the last marker, we would all get exhausted and have difficulty returning. If the rest of us rest here, it is best for the group." His tone sounded more like an order or even a threat. Mage Sylvia did not say anything for a long moment, probably weighing her options in front of a first citizen. Bitch ass. Sylvia finally approached Rena. She spoke softly enough that only we could hear her. "There are 6 pairs of hound trainers in the woods around us. You will be fine. Don't worry, girl. After we file our evaluation, Mage Cassius will never command more than a stable boy. Can you see the trail?" she asked me, and I nodded. "Good. Hurry along then. I will think of some way to ensure he doesn't get the credit for retrieving all 3 markers." "Hound trainers, not hounds?" I asked. "I'm way past this. I continue to read when you stop. I'll wait. We'll definitely watch YouTube VOD still." "Hell yeah." She answered hurriedly. "Yes. They train the hounds in mundane skills as they do not possess a spell form themselves. Don't look worried. They are some of the best woodsmen in the Empire. Hounds are in short supply right now, and the most recent class was sent early to the east." A few thoughts drifted through my head at this moment. First, this probably meant I would be called on to join the hounds sooner rather than later. Second, Mage Cassius would not rest here and wait for us to return. The first citizen brat would return to the tower as soon as we disappeared into the woods, concocting some reason why it was imperative to return immediately. "Let's go, Rena. We shouldn't hurry." I nodded to her to indicate it was all right. I led the way past the other mages. Mage Cassius had a shit. I was like, sorry, is he shitting? Had a shit-eating grin as we passed him. Mage Ona, with a deliciously evil smile, directed at Rena. Thank you so much for the sub, Harukage. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We entered the woods, and I made to increase my pace. I paused a mile later to inspect some tracks. Rena stood over me. "Null tracks. Maybe 3, 4 at the most. Last night crossed his path. Probably a night hunting party." A night hunting party. "Should we turn around?" Rena asked worriedly. "Or I can fly and get the marker," she offered. "No, it is still a good 4 miles from here. You would get lost and would be alone. We will move as fast as I deem safe on foot. And if we have to spend the night in the woods, we will," I stated firmly. "The trail is easy to follow even without the map, but I will have trouble following it in the dark." As long as a small group of gnolls did not ambush us in the dark, I was fairly certain we would prevail or chase them off. The thing that concerned me was I had seen no signs of the hound trainers Mage Sylvia had mentioned. Rena considered it, and she liked the idea. "Camp alone together? Okay." She couldn't hide her smile. Maybe I was hoping as well. Men gud, alltså... Oh. I feel like we've established that she's a child, no? As we went, I tried to point out what I was following. "Look, you can see the pine needles here pressed into the ground. This stick was kicked over a day ago, exposing the soil beneath. This bush has no leaves on this side, even though it gets good light. Also, the hounds apparently like to climb trees, as many of the thicker ones show signs." What? Rena was overwhelmed by what I was telling her. I paused at the trunk of a large pine, and the bark looked like thick, cracked skin. There are a number of easy handholds, and they are all smoothed over with repeated use. I'm guessing the hounds use that branch there as a lookout, I pointed up. How did you see that? She said in awe. Can you teach me? She smiled brightly and fervently. Not in the few hours we have. I had a good teacher. I was starting to appreciate what I had learned from Constantine. I would have never seen half the things I did if it wasn't for his constant educational nagging. We had at most about 2 hours of daylight when I thought we had traveled the 5 miles. I suddenly froze and motioned for Rena to be quiet. The few birds nearby had gone silent. Rena scanned the woods but didn't see anything. What is it? She whispered. I don't know. A predator or maybe one of the hound trainers is nearby. The birds smell, see? Or hear something that has got them spooked. And it is not us, I replied as I scanned from the forest floor up to the canopy. We remained still, and an uneasy, heavy feeling permeated the air. I removed my glove and knelt, laying my hand on the ground. I sent out a pulse with earth speak. I sorted the feedback, eliminating all the insects and small creatures that confused the image. Many animals' burrows were in the radius, but nothing overly large or dangerous. The images from the trees were fussier and didn't show any danger either, just 3 birds. I crouched and moved slowly, checking with Earthspeak every 25 feet, the extent of my range. A clearing showed through the trees with a bright red scarf tied around it, but I held Rena back. The bird song had yet to return. My blood chilled on the next Earthspeak pulse I sent out. A body, most likely one of the hound trainers, was buried off the path to the right in thick mud. Submerged in the mud with the body was the outline of not a gnoll, but an orc. And the orc was very much alive with a strong heartbeat, as repeated pulses showed very slight movement. I had a strong suspicion it was not the only enemy. Ooh. Orc fight, orc fight, orc fight. Kill it fast so I don't have to read it. Okay. Oh, yeah. More AI. Rena, I assume. Chapter 2002. Never tell me the odds. I stood slowly, releasing my contact with the ground. My armor plates scraping against themselves softly, breaking the silence. The thick muddy water to our right didn't look out of the ordinary. It was just another small pond, muddied from recent rain runoff. The orc was good. The orc was good because I saw no disturbance on the shore. Brenna must have sensed my tension because she moved close and grabbed my arm. Did you see something? Should we turn around? She wasn't aware of my Earthspeak ability, but trusted in my scouting ability. I was torn on whether we should run. If these orcs were waiting for all the young mages, we might get far enough away before they realized we were not coming back. The other possibility was they were just scouts and had stumbled across the hound trainers. I needed to keep Rana calm. I announced audibly. Thought I saw some blue velvet mushrooms. Should have known they were out of season. In a much softer voice, I asked, Can your fire spell form turn water into ice? Her powerful fire spell form pulled heat from an area, and she could then channel that heat in a directional funnel. She was proud of the ability as it could put out large fires in a city quickly. Rena's face looked confused, and thankfully she whispered back, Yes, but it would take a few minutes. Good. I want you to turn the muddy water to our right to ice, and when I tell you to, I want you to fly straight up and go get the mages. I produced an apple and started munching on it to act unconcerned as we hadn't approached the marker flag yet, and I wanted to pretend we were waiting for the others, so I kept looking back to the direction we came from. As I crunched the crisp apple, I could feel the temperature dropping and see frost forming on the pine trees around the mud pond. Rena was locked into her efforts as I slowly scanned our surroundings repeatedly. There had to be more than one orc. Not that it would be a bad thing if there were only one. A thin layer of ice formed on the mud, but the surface remained calm. I had to admire the orc's discipline. He had excellent control over his body, not to ripple the water. Was he really holding his breath? No. A tiny hollow reed was barely sticking out of the surface. Based on the body's positions, I figured the only reason he was in the muddy water was to hold down the corpse of the hound. I assumed he must have been killed recently, but I couldn't see any signs of a struggle in the area. He shifted, and the surface ice cracked a little. The crackling echo sounded much louder to my ears than it actually was. If Rana could get a few inches of ice above the orc, it would be trapped and eliminated one opponent. Seconds turned into minutes, and finally the orc in the mud realized what was happening. He tried to force himself out of the water. The ice cracked loudly in several places as he pounded on his prison, and then all hell broke loose. 2 orcs, oh shit, thudded to the ground nearby, dropping from the trees. From the trees? Can orcs climb trees? Their clothes had a rippling chameleon effect. Another flash of movement had a pair rushing from the far side of the clearing, well beyond the flag-marked tree. I could clearly see the tattoos covering their faces and necks. Oh, right. Oh, I remember how orcs look now. Damn it. Did that mean all of these orcs were their elite warriors? With the tattoos. Because I remember they fought, there was an orc in the Colosseum, right? When they fought. And Eric was like, what's that? Yet another pair of orcs emerged far to our right, standing up and dropping their own chameleon effect. The array of movement around our position was dizzying. 6 opponents, not including the orc under the ice. Rena, fly! I screamed as she was frozen in shock. I materialized the black-tipped spear and rushed the 2 orcs falling from the trees. I chose the spear for its reach rather than pulling my shield and drawing the black blade. I needed to even the odds quickly, without using my dimensional space to kill one of the orcs. An arrow skimmed off my armor, having connected at an off angle. An 8th orc. Where the fuck had that come from? How many more orcs were still in hiding somewhere? I was having a really bad day. I reached my targets and juked to the right, opening the guard of that orc. He looked shocked at the ease with which I parried his blade. He was even more shocked when the black spear easily cut through his thick, soft leather armor. I did not hesitate to leverage the tip up into his sternum, destroying his heart. Damn. I used my leverage to interpose the now dead orc with my other opponent, clearing him off my spear. Rena squealed from behind me. Dude, aren't you gonna fly away? Causing me to take a quick glance to check on her. She had paused her flight 20 feet in the air and had a thick arrow shaft in her hip. She probably hadn't fled thinking she could help from the air. Rena, go get help! I yelled again. I will be fine. Okay, maybe that last statement was a lie. My best chance was facing these orcs in pairs, but that hidden archer was going to be a pain in the ass. The closest orc had dropped his chameleon effect, and he was also marked with the tattoos of the elite warriors. These orcs were dressed in thick, dark leather that didn't make a sound as they moved. He held 2 short blades as he scowled angrily in challenge. I wished I had practiced a little more with the spear in my dreamscape against orcs, but lamenting now was pointless. I used my superior reach to cut him deeply above the kneecap. When the injury caused him to stumble forward, I filled his mouth with a spear tip. His eyes were wide in surprise at the speed of my attack. I yanked hard, freeing the weapon from the back of his skull, and took an arrow in my ass. Always, it's so much ass, dude. Fortunately, it hadn't penetrated far beyond the leather skirt flaps. I gripped the shaft, yanked it out, and spun, sending healing ether to my glutes. Blood briefly trickled down my leg before stopping. I groaned as a fist broke through the ice, not too far away. He was going to escape his prison soon. I needed to avoid getting overwhelmed. I rushed the 2 orcs coming from the clearing, hoping the frozen pond would slow the other 2. Maybe they would even stop to help their comrade. I doubt it. Moving toward the clearing should also make it much harder for the hidden archer to target me based on where I guessed he was hiding. As I charged, both orcs skidded to a stop on the pine needles to receive my charge. These orcs had bucklers and short blades, and they sneered in challenge. Buckler, what are bucklers now again? Is that like the tiny round shield? Or is it like, yeah, because it's not brass knuckles. I think, is a buckler like a tiny thing? Right? Buckler. Yes, it is exactly what I thought of. Like it covers your hand. It's like 3 arms big. Three hands big. Tiny circle. Tiny shield. Hmm. The bastards accelerated, moving slightly faster as they circled me in opposite directions. I used an air shield to prevent the one on my right from getting behind me. He had a confused expression as he hit the invisible wall, and even more so when I drove the spear into his chest. He had enough awareness to grab the spear and roll away in an attempt to disarm me for his companion. I had no choice but to let go of the spear. But by how the orc crumbled, I was sure his spine was severed. Oi. The other orc pressed. Wow, that's a yawn. Holy shit. I was attacked by a yawn. Whew. Thankfully, not in my ass. The other orc pressed, seeing I was now weaponless, as I wouldn't have time to recover my spear. My shield appeared in my hand as I blocked the hasty attack. As his mind processed the shield's sudden appearance, I rotated it, got my forearm through the strap, drew the black blade, and assessed my environment. Only one of the orcs had stopped to break his companion free of the ice. I could see flitters of movement in the trees as the archer repositioned and moved closer. There was no sign of Renna, which was good. Hopefully, she could get back safely and get the arrow wound treated. Things started to calm as the orc waited for his companions now that I was armed and had killed 3 of their number. I was still outnumbered 5-1 once the orc was freed from the pond. I pulled 2 sneezing and 2 blindness pellets to my shield hand as I circled to get the wind at my back and keep all the enemies in front of me. The orcs were extremely wary now, with 3 of their number dead or dying. The pair in front of me preferring to wait for the archer and their 2 other companions. When I saw the archer set his feet 30 yards away, I frowned and set an air shield. The arrow bounced 2 feet from me harmlessly away. The orcs started talking rapidly in their language. The language was throaty and had lots of "oh" sounds. Oh? But I had no idea what they were saying, and their eyes never left mine. I assumed they were discussing a strategy to kill me. You would assume. The ice prison orc was vomiting muddy water 50 feet away, and his companions was now racing to join my 2 opponents. My air shield halted another arrow, and I renewed it. I noticed movements in the distance between the trees. 9-1 odds? How is this even fair? It's not. When the third orc reached his companions, forming a convenient line, I made my move. I tossed all 4 pellets between us as I slid-stepped back, retreating. They reacted as I expected by advancing together. Even if they did not inhale, the spores would affect their vision. One of them barked something in warning, but it was too late. They were blinking rapidly, and one of them tried to clear his vision with his bracers. I had to wait for the clouds to dissipate or risk being affected myself. Only one of the orcs inhaled as he started sneezing violently, and pale yellow mucus ran from his wide grey nostrils. Another arrow thudded into my air shield, and the frustrated bowman shouldered his bow, determining it was useless. He raced towards me, drawing his sword to join the others. It was time to act. The bowman was included in the 9-1, right? Yeah, of course it was. Because I was like, it's not 10-1 now, right? I rushed it to 3 hampered orcs as they tried to clear their eyes of the film built up in their corneas. The bleary-eyed orcs tightened their formation. I easily blocked the telegraphed stab and returned my own. My black blade cut deep into the thigh of one on My black blade cut deep into the thigh of the one on the far left. The blade felt like it hummed in my grip, and the orc howled in unrestrained pain. Time seemed to pause for a moment as everyone was confused. I had cut the orc, but it barely reached the muscle. Yet the orc was having trouble standing and was in obvious immense pain by his screaming. The black blade felt alive in my hand from tasting the little bit of orc blood. Maybe this was the blade's purpose, to kill orcs. I took advantage, getting a minor cut on the hand of the orc on the right. His grip weakened, and his face was twisted in agony as he spat words. I think he was cursing me, but his yellow snot and unfocused eyes ruined the moment's gravitas. The black blade is a runic blade, correct? That's what it was called, right? It's been a minute. Runic weapons? That's what they're called, right? I feel like the black blade was a runic weapon. I don't remember if the black blade was the one that he won against the first citizen. No, not Boris. Was it Boris? The bitch boy anyway, and he's like, me. And then he's like, I'll take this one anyway. And he's like, me. And then he hated him, and he's like, oh, I'll take your Dreamscape amulet as hostage. And he's like, no. I think that's where he got the black blade from. I can't remember. He got some black weapon out of it anyway. I wove the black blade around their impaired senses, scoring quick strikes. The blade only needed to score their flesh, and they felt a more severe wound. The snotty orc on the right fell first as the blade slid along his exposed neck, cutting the carotid artery. His pumping heart sent spurts of blood into the air. When he tried to retrieve a potion while on his knees, I shattered the vial with my sword, sending his fingers and shards flying. The second of the three fell from a quick stab wound to his throat that he did not see coming. I twisted the blade and pulled it out, noticing the black blade was blood-free. It definitely had thrummed in my grip with every successful strike and taste of orc blood, and the surface seemed to be gaining some luster from the blood it was absorbing. But now was not the time to evaluate the ancient blade. Wow, now he feels like Constantine, you know? The orc with the torn throat fell to his knees, one hand over the throat while the other hand pawed at his belt. He was also searching for a potion before he succumbed to death. I didn't let him as I hammered the side of his head with my blade, knocking him out. The archer had reached us and fearlessly threw us. Him and the orcs. I was like, cat, you were alone, Eric. The archer had reached us and fearlessly threw himself into the fight, leading his attack with a long blade and trailing a dagger in his offhand. He was the most competent swordsman I had faced. Crazy that he was the archer then, and he pressed me to try and prevent me from killing the third injured orc. I used a few air shields to keep the archer at bay while I hamstrung the lone remaining blinded orc. The blinded orc howled in pain and could no longer stand. My pounding heart fed my adrenaline through my body. I was doing remarkably considering the odds. Yeah, as always. As I focused on the fresh opponent, an arrow embedded itself in my chest, causing me to stumble backward a step. Right, he hasn't even used his fucking dimensional space in this fight. The second archer had closed and taken an opportunity to attack me while I was distracted. If I got out of this, I would figure out how to use what I suspected was an Ether Shield amulet from Treliorn. I couldn't track everything in this fight and needed a mulligan card. The arrow was stuck just below the left collarbone of my shield arm. It had penetrated halfway into my shoulder and put me at a disadvantage against my closest attacker as I couldn't use my arm properly. The orc archer threatened me in broken Latin. Legionnaire, you will die by my blade. Know that your battle prowess. His head disappeared. I hated to bottom out my ether with 3 opponents remaining, but this orc had been too good a swordsman for me to fight one-handed. I guess he used his dimensional space then. I staggered behind a tree for cover. I worked out the lesser ether potion under my cuirass. It was my only one, and I took it from the elven apprentice summoner. I drank it, hoping it was still viable. It was bitter, worked much slower, and had much less potency than a dungeon ether potion. But it was all I had. I painfully worked the arrow out of my shoulder. A few inches lower, and it would have scored my heart. I was soon healing the tissue and gathering myself. I had about a quarter of my total ether, enough for a few air shields and some minor healing. I was just thinking, it's like, okay, is it the do you do that with the arrow? Is it the best way to pull it out? Because I was thinking about it now, right? Because I was like, it's always like, should you pull it out? Should you keep it in? Because you could keep it in so that the blood stays, no? Because so then it becomes like a, then it doesn't become a hole. But then I understand that in a fight, you would want to take it out because you have to use your muscles, and it can be used against you as a weapon. Like if they push that shit deeper, or if you like, if it's in your arm, you move your arm around, like it would hurt for every, like it would just cut deeper and deeper. So I guess you have to take it out. That would be the smartest, of course. So I guess he has to take it out, right? I don't know how this shit works. I've never had an arrow in me. Minor healing. I touched the ground using Earth Speak, but frowned as they were outside the 25-foot range. I chanced the peak and retreated as an arrow whizzed by where my head had been. The hamstrung orc had been cursing, as it looked like he had tried to drink a healing vial, but it didn't work. I looked down at the black blade. It had gained a semi-gloss appearance, and the small pitted marks were barely visible along length. It must be feeding on the orc blood. Hello, oh my gay, oh my gay, oh my god, wait, Smalls is alive. Hello, I'm alive. I live. Welcome. We're on our second and last soldier's life chapter of the day. Then we're gonna do some shiny hunting on Twitch. I chanced another glance from the other side of the tree. The insidious second archer was kneeling with the sputtering orc by the icy pond. I rushed out to the crippled orc while the archer was distracted. His filmy eyes couldn't see me clearly, and he was still in obvious pain. He raised the buckler that I swatted aside with the blade and quickly reversed the swing to cut deeply into his exposed neck. I added an air shield just in time to deflect an arrow. A second arrow thudded just above my knee, barely clipping the bottom of my air shield. The second archer was a female by her curves, as was the nearly drowned orc. She was smartly testing the range of my defenses. I started walking toward the pair. My deliberate walk was because I could not run and establish an air shield if the archer snapped off an arrow. When the archer shouldered the bow to help the other orc run, I sprinted at them. The archer shoved the smaller female away and pulled a knife to meet my charge. Her dark eyes were hard and determined to protect the other orc. I interposed an air shield when I was close enough, shifted my direction, and beheaded the other muddy orc. Orc. The black blade hummed in my grip in appreciation of the offering. The orc archer raged at me, and spittle burst from her in her war cry. It was too bad for her that she was a much better archer than a melee fighter. I disarmed her by removing her hand in short order. She was not as strong-willed as the others and collapsed from the pain, holding her decapitated forearm. I scanned the woods for movement, slowly relaxing. Do you speak Italian? I asked, planning to question her. Or is she the only one left? Did I miss something? Has it killed 8 orcs? Okay. I repeated myself a few times and she clearly didn't understand me. I raised and lowered my blade, ending her. Oh, you don't speak my language, die. I know it's not like that, but wow. I was curious why the orcs were here, ambushing us, but I didn't want to wait for the mages to arrive or watch a prisoner in my injured state. I stood quietly and waited for the birdsong to return. I guess he killed 9 orcs, reassuring me that I was alone. Somehow I had been victorious. It was curious how none of these tattooed orcs displayed the enhanced strength and speed of the ones I had observed in the arena. It would take a while for Renna to return with help. I had things I wanted to do before the mages returned. I pulled my collector from my space and got to work. And there he goes with his collector. Yeah, Eric. Okay. Like, how does he explain this? Like, I don't understand. Like, how can you? I mean, because he uses dimensional space 2 times. He took one's head off and one's arm off. Otherwise, he didn't like he uses air shields. Because like I was like, except for that, those two dimensional space attacks, he didn't do anything that anyone else doesn't know that he has. Correct? Like, not that he's like, I have an air shield, but it's like, there has been people who, like, it wouldn't be damning if they knew that he had air shields, right? Can't be. It would be more damning if they were like, your dimensional space is mega big and you can fucking kill people with it. What? That's crazy. So, like, technically, he did it, like, they just have to accept that he's strong. Do you know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to get at here? Yeah, probably. Like, it's still fucked. Like, it's still fucked. I mean, he's done. He's survived a dragon, and somehow he got out of that shit. So I guess this is nothing for him. Like, yeah, I killed 9 orcs, whatever. And they're like, yeah, okay. I know that this is not the same people he was with. Like before, he was with his companions. You know, like everyone when he killed the dragon, and now he's like with the mage college. But still, you know, still. Herrejävlar. Still fucking crazy. Wow, it feels weird to be back in a soldier's life, but also nice. I think I like this 2 chapter, like it's fine, and I feel like at time it still took like an hour. But yeah, okay, but yeah, okay. Um, we will see what happens next time. That felt so fucking weird to do, dude. That felt weird to do. It was also weird to say like last time. I was like, what? Who am I? But okay. I moved away from the mic. You can hear me. I'm here. That was it for A Soldier's Life. So now I will just refresh the stream. We will play some Pokemon. If you leave here and do not wish to continue, fair game. You know? Understood. Otherwise, feel free to join in on our shiny hunting adventure. But it will not continue on YouTube because YouTube is mean. So head on over to Twitch if you want to continue. So if you're leaving, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. If you're not leaving, then fucking just refresh. Okay? So I will do that. Let's see. Pokemon. Sword Shield. Yes. Okay, refreshing. Bye, YouTube.